Hello, I'm Roger Harrabin. I was the BBC Environment correspondent for 35 years. Recently, I've been working with the We Mean Business Coalition. So, how should we all be planning for the year ahead? Well, there is a stupendous amount of uncertainty this year. Uncertainty in so many ways. But let's start with things that are pretty certain. Take global temperatures, very likely to be about as hot as last year, or perhaps even hotter. It's also certain that we'll face more climate-related disasters, along with demands from poor nations for the damage inflicted upon them. Despite all this, it's almost certain we'll see continuing pushback against climate policies from people tapping into disinformation on the web. On technology, it's almost certain that the inexorable growth in solar PV will continue, driven by cutthroat competition and standardization in China. Increasingly, it's cheaper to buy panels than to install them. So, what about the uncertainties? Well, too many to count, frankly. Net zero is a clear target, but will businesses and governments achieve it? The surge towards electric vehicles, for instance, has stalled in some places because governments haven't provided enough chargers. And how many of them will produce adequate policies for the next big climate conference in Baku in November, or for the less publicized but still massively important Nature Summit COP16 in Colombia in October? There is no stable climate without a stable natural world. Many outcomes of this year of uncertainty depend on elections, with half the world's population eligible to vote. In the UK, Labour's green policies are under media assault, and we know Donald Trump will attack net zero. Drill, baby, drill is a powerful promise in a country where voters in key rural states are wedded to cars. Meanwhile, conflict in Ukraine and the Middle East might push oil prices upwards, affecting the whole global economy, including the critical renewables sector. So, how to plan with risks so very high? Well, there are some obvious bets. Energy efficiency to start with, shrinking and diversifying supply chains, and better design itself. In a year when global emissions may peak, it surely makes sense to align your organisation to a low-carbon world. Progress is slow, far, far too slow, but we are moving inevitably towards an economy without fossil fuels. And that is a remarkable achievement.